Welcome. Hello.
She was going to say, welcome back to Resting Stitch Face podcast. We're your hosts, Dr. Erin and Dr. Sarah, and we've got a very special guest with us today.
Yay. Yes, where kids are always in the background.
Love it.
That's real life. It's real life. So we are so excited to be talking to Dr. Jessica Emery today. She is a cosmetic dentist turned marketing maven. She is the founder of Happy CEO, Dental Soiree, and Dental Girl Gang. She helps dental pros shine online with branding, social media, and a splash of fun. Think of her podcast, Dental Confidential, as happy hour with your dental bestie.
Yay!
So welcome to the
Welcome.
podcast, Jess. So glad to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and for this conversation because I love both of you and what you're doing, this podcast, all
Yay.
the things.
Yes, thank you. I hope
Yes.
that bio was okay. You have so many things I could have put in there that it was hard to narrow down. So if I missed anything, let me know.
No, we just have to say just multi-passionate dentist.
She's a creator. She's definitely a creator mindset.
Yes.
So I am so excited to talk to you. I think there's so much that we could go through, and we'll try to keep it brief just because our audience has other things to do. But I wanted to talk.
Erin,
I wanted to start off talking about burnout in dentistry. I know we've had these conversations a lot, Sarah and I, and also Jess and I have. So I thought it'd be fun if all three of us can kind of riff off each other on this topic. What do you think the big cause of burnout is, Jess? And what's the issue that's making dentistry so hard these days? Because I feel like it's getting harder.
Okay. Are you ready? How long do we have here? I am hot. I am hot on this topic, actually.
Yes.
Because this weekend in particularly, I had a couple of dental friends send me some posts. I don't know why people do this. I'm in my happy land, and then it's digging
Boom.
down into the low density of this world we play in. But I saw a post on somebody's Instagram that I reposted and reshared. I don't know if you girls saw it, but about the fact that dental insurance companies are now sponsoring dental schools and opening dental practices. What? What? My body, I had to take the dog for a walk and I was probably pulling him because I had so much. My entire body was just I can barely breathe. And then obviously, like I said, and what I responded to that was, dentists, big stop sign, stop working with them. Stop working with the dental insurance companies now. 18 years ago, when I opened my startup practice, I opened fee for service, 100% collection up front. When people said, including dental consultants said, you will never make it, I was like, I'll see you on the other side. This is my vision, my dream. And if I need to be on the street corner holding a sign that says need dental, I'm going to make this happen. And I did. And I did. Everything is possible. So what has happened through the rest of the weekend is I've gone down the rabbit hole on TikTok and I've watched a bunch of younger women talking about why they've left dentistry. We have talked about people fleeing, right? Instead of just hitting this head on and having this conversation, which needs to be had, people are leaving because it's so uncomfortable, or they're feeding the system. So this morning I woke up to someone sent me 2 screenshots from a Facebook group post. Would you have your children go into dentistry? And there were at least 100 posts, and I actually put them in my stories today. A screenshot, obviously covering the names. Horrifying. And I said in response, I have a daughter that's going into this profession. I could not be more proud that she is going into this profession. But instead of feeding the beast, feeding the pendulum, feeding the negative energy, because they all feel better when they talk about it, let's shine the light on the new, beautiful human beings that are so lit up and excited about this profession, my daughter and others that are so excited. And we're their mentors. And we forgot why we started. We've forgotten our why. Let's come back to that, because books aren't going to do it anymore. The education systems aren't cutting it. We need to be the mentors to teach them the how, the what, the why, and redo. Yes, can we win, right? Everyone's saying the insurance companies. I get it. But if insurance companies are opening practices, I never played this game, nor would I ever give away, like I said, for our time and our energy, we deserve to be compensated. But dentists are going to continue. If you say yes, that's a decision. So don't complain about it.
Yeah.
We're feeding it.
Yeah, and I'll say from the specialist point of view, so the practice that I'm in now was a startup practice in 2021, and it's a well-established area with well-established dentists, and they have well-established referrals and well-established referral patterns, and it is a very as a specialist, very difficult to set yourself apart as a brand new oral surgeon or oral surgery practice and say, well, I'm fee for service because these dentists that are around you are already sending their patients to places that one, accept insurance, or two, if they are fee for service or out of network, they are comfortable with them. And so they are okay with that. And so then as time went on and it was just really not picking up speed, then the goal is like, okay, well, I actually do need to like pay my staff. And so it's like, okay, well, let's get in network with some insurances. And then that way we started getting more and more referrals and more patients seeking us out because they found us through insurance.
Mm.
And oh, by the way, your dental insurance sucks and doesn't cover anything anyway, especially if you want your 4 wisdom teeth out. Well, that just exhausted your entire year. And so regardless, it sucks anyway. And but here you are, and we're really glad you're here. And I still treat every patient as if I'm a fee for service practice because at some point, hopefully we can be, right?
Yes.
I spend time with them, I talk to them, I listen to my washing machine about to fall off the whatever it is. Um, but they but they it's just so hard to build a practice as a specialist, especially you don't have that basis for patients to find you or for people to feel comfortable in sending to you.
Yes, it would work if, like you said, so for me, I found surgeons that were also out of network that either I worked with. And so
Love
my
that.
patients were already used to paying 100% collection. They were happy to do that
Yeah.
and they wanted the service.
Mhm.
And I love that you're giving them that same service. But there are people that will pay. There are people out there buying Chanel and Louis Vuitton right now. There is
Right.
an abundance of
Mhm.
money out there, right? The vacations and all the things. It's the limited mindset that dentists have in fear around that and not believing
Mhm.
they could. So they did. So they latch onto that. And it's just, I'm going to use the word demoralizing, really, truly. Um, taking that cut, right? And then the overhead being as high as it is and having
Right.
to pay out, and they're the last ones.
I hadn't thought this before, but we make such a big sacrifice for what, a $1,500 benefit,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'm not meaning to minimize, I know even a few $100s is hard for so many people in this country to come up with. So I'm not minimizing how much money that is, but ultimately, for most people, $1,500 and the amount of money you pay to even have that benefit. I remember talking to a representative of Delta Dental for the state of Illinois, and he told me, and this was 5 years ago, I assume it's probably similar, 80% of the benefits go unused for the year. So many people are paying into the system
Wow.
and they're not getting the benefit of what they're paying. It'd probably be so much cheaper to just go fee for service as a patient, dump your insurance and go and see whatever doctor you want without worrying about who's in network or who's not. But we make these sacrifices over $1,500. We're not talking about medical insurance where maybe you have to pay $50,000 for your hip out of pocket or something if you go to someone who does fee for service. This
Yeah.
is a much different model than
You
that.
know, I think when we really drill it down back way back to the foundations of all of this, I think that dentistry was still expensive, but it was affordable out of pocket. As insurance has taken over, the cost of things has gone up simply because we still need to get money to pay for our overhead, right? We still have to pay staff. We still have to do all those things. And if it's going to cost me $1,500, if I need that $1,500 in order to like keep my practice afloat, and you're going to tell me that you're only going to give me 80% or 50% of what I'm asking, then it's going to cost me $3,000 because then I'm still going to be able to get my $1,500. And then you're going to tell me that I can't charge people $3,000. And so it's just escalated and elevated and inflated all of these costs. and just takes away from the basics of we're just here to take care of you.
Right.
Like,
Well,
and we want to stay open.
you're paying another team member a salary to just freaking chase. And
Yeah.
it makes no sense. And just to go back to what you said about being able to afford it, people can afford, come on, they want the TV. It's what makes them feel good. They will pay, they will find the money,
Yes.
right? They will find the money for what they want. But if we are discounting everything, they're going to want the discount. We're attracting people that are discount oriented. And again, I'll come back to that is a choice. And that is you in fear making that decision. But if you decide, and I'm not saying as a surgeon, and I understand. So this is a trickle down, like, right? Like, because I do understand where you are. So I'm speaking to general practitioners, but um, it's where I stand and what I believe in truly, just like you specialized, is finding, like I did earlier on. I was like, what do I really, really love? Like, what is my vision for what I really love doing? And then I did that, which was cosmetic, and I did it really well. And I went and got the CE, and now I help dentists to niche into what lights them up and go out of network. And then they're attracting the people that desire what they want. And like I said, they're off to the races. But the insurance is like the insurance is insurance is they need people need to be educated more. But what I'm also finding is that the practices running 5 columns to even keep up. I have mentioned, I know Erin knows, I'm on a board, I'm an expert panel for a dental lab looking at cases. I've never seen, other than my own one-on-ones, like I work with them for their cases. And so they're perfected, but I literally have been I
Just a poltergeist in my house, don't worry.
love it.
The
um,
insurance company is trying to shut down this conversation.
Right?
Yeah.
I swear, probably. But what I feel like as well is that dentists aren't able then to even take the time that they need with the patients when it comes to a prep. Like the preps I'm seeing that the labs are trying to fabricate masterpieces for. There's no way. Like I've been sick. Like I've been sick because I'm like, I don't know what to say here. I'm like, fail, 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 fail. Like with all my feedback, but they can't do anything and they can't tell a dentist in their ego, hey, could you try to perfect this margin? Could you give me a margin here? Could you smooth this prep or anything like that? And then dentists as well, because of their lack of spending money, because the fear, because they don't have it, and even education or what have you, what they are proposing in materials, 7, 8, and 9 and zirconium for someone, and not even probably having the conversation with that patient about doing the adjacent teeth, because that's a decision for that patient and their power to choose, but it's up to us. And so I'm playing and trying to be in their head on the other side while I'm by myself, looking at the cases like, how and why did this happen this way? And I feel in my body that it comes back to the fact that dentists can't practice, again, choice the way that they desire to because they're too afraid of everything, fear, which we know manifests into dis-ease in the body because energy is energy in motion. And this is what we need to have a hard stop on. If people would just come back and say, you know what? This is what's leading to burnout and all the other things. Just say no and like everything will.
On the other side of that one, so Jess, you and I were talking, I went to MUSC in South Carolina. So that's where I did my dental school. And in the time that I was in dental school, it's a state school, right? So it's not a private school. From the beginning to the end, I think we went from 40 something percent of the cost of tuition was covered by the state. It got knocked down to 8% while I was in dental school. So they went from covering 48% because most of the people that finished school in South Carolina stay in South Carolina and they need dentists, right? But that funding went down to 8%.
Wow.
They raised tuition. So that means tuition at the end user, me, goes way up, right? And then they increased the class size we started with 50 something. And I think that when I left, the first year class had 85 or 90. So you're getting less one-on-one attention. And so are they being trained as well? Then you leave and you have what once was probably $15,000, $20,000 a year in tuition is now closer to $100,000 a year in tuition, right? That doesn't cover room and board. That doesn't cover anything else. And so these kids are getting out of school, and if they're not going to residency and accumulating more debt, they're going out into private practice and they're trying to like pay to live, one, and while having a $10,000, $12,000 a month loan bill that they've got to pay. And God forbid, I mean, it's not like you can start a practice and be like, hey, who's going to give me a loan for $1 million to start a practice?
I work with them that have taken on $1 million on top of 400,000.
It's just insane. And
And
so like that's where the fear comes from is like, oh my gosh, I'm drowning.
Financial bondage.
the drowning, but then they won't even invest in a mentor, because the best investment is to lock arms with someone who's been there and done it. One of us that's gone before, right? Or and branding, marketing, branding you. This is where the downfall is, and the younger ones should know better.
Yeah, because they're very good
What
at it.
I'm up against, and they're like, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's mind blowing to me, because this is your best asset now." And moving you forward for that connection, because my patients that came in, I was in a saturated area in Chicago, literally had 5 dentists outside my door that accepted insurance. And I was like, 100%, like, and what made it different was my marketing that I did, my social media, because I understood how important it was. Earlier on, we didn't have Instagram. So I did magazines, I did the photo shoots, I did magazine. But they knew, they felt me, they felt energetically, because everything's energy, who I was. So when they came in and I was the same human in the chair, they were like, when can we get started? Again and again and again, 50K, 60K, 100K, again, up front. Again and again and again and again. I did over 7 figures working under 24 hours a week in like year 3, 4. And then every single year thereafter, I surpassed that, which allowed me time to build the other businesses that I did. Especially when Dennis kept saying, how are you doing what you're doing? I was like, okay, let's go. Let's do a photo shoot. And I was traveling all the time on the weekends and whatnot. But what I found with that, with Dental Soiree in my company, though, is that because of the debt, like you said, and the stress and the angst and the fear, so many are putting that aside now. It's the back burner versus back when 6 years ago, they were definitely more on board with it.
Can you talk more? One of the things that really resonates that you talk a lot about on your social media platforms, etc., is this idea of masculine versus female energy. How does that apply to dentistry and what we're talking about? It really resonates with me, I think, because we're in a highly dominated male sphere as oral surgeons to begin with, so we're kind of inundated with that masculine energy anyway, and I think a lot of us kind of push that femininity away, and maybe even thought that that was a negative part of ourselves for at least the professional side of our lives. And how do you think that reclaiming that femininity again, that feminine energy, maybe kind of explain what the two worlds are again, but how do you think that plays into how we practice and how it affects our quality of life as practitioners?
Oh, life. I love this so much, so much. So when we think of the yin to the yang, and there is a duality here, this human experience to everything, right? Hot, cold, white, black, everything has duality. And the yin yang with the masculine and feminine, there should be the quote unquote balance. You'll hear people in our profession always say, there is no, balance in life. And to a point, but there is, in our profession, we have spent so much time in the left logic brain of masculine dominated, pushing harder, being more, it's never enough, like, which is so masculine. And just to say masculine is a good thing to have. We need both. That's how we get to be. That's how you get to be a surgeon, and how we get through school and we do all the things. Feminine would be more laid back and in flow, and we can't be just laying back and eating bonbons, but all the time. However, we are creators. We are women. We create babies, connection. We are love. Like, we're all love, but we're supposed to be, it creates space and time to lean into that side of us. And something I've shared, I know, Erin, with you since the get-go, that I gifted myself was alone time for me to go. And I would literally get on a tarmac and I would go to Fort Lauderdale from like my second year in solo practice and gift myself alone time. Now, I was having babies back to back. I had 3 children too, but I had a live-in nanny. And I loved hustle culture, which is the masculine, like hustle, like staying at work after work. And I was never home, and I loved it and I thrived on it. And I do believe that is where we were then. I feel like the world is shifting, and I feel like people are waking up now to what is possible and who we are and what this human experience
I've
actually.
always liked to just be home.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
I would love to hustle, but I just don't have it in me, you know.
I love that. And this is something else that I know, Erin, we've tapped a little bit into. And this is fascinating too in dentistry. Again, to the masculine, it's like, let's look at your Myers Briggs and let's do KPIs and strategy and all the things.
Yeah.
Human design. Are you familiar with human design?
Mhm.
Okay. Because human design, which is an energy system, anyone that's listening, please go look it up go do the free test online because you'll learn so much about yourself. So Erin and I are actually the same 5-1 manifesting generators, which means this is why we are who we are.
Yes.
But there are women like you that maybe in your human design is more of the projector type, but
I don't. I need to do it.
okay. But if you are thrown in, if you have a certain energy type and you're supposed to lean back into that because that feeds your system and that's who you are, it's how you were made, but you are thrown into a masculine paradigm where you are having to push and all of that. That's why you'll feel like, wait, this doesn't feel right in my body. I don't love this. And this is where burnout, a lot of times burnout comes from. So the feminine is to make sure, especially that you are leaning into taking care of yourself, filling up your cup. There was one time too, I came home, it was date night because we had to schedule a date night. And I ran upstairs and changed quick, but threw my hair out of my ponytail, shook it out, and pony hair, dental hair, don't care. Came back down and my nanny was like, senorita, like back up, like back up. You go put your face on, you go, you know what I mean? Like get yourself in the shower.
Ew.
And see, that's amazing
Yeah.
because I didn't care, but that's the feminine too. Like show up, schedule the date nights, just tap into your feminine side because for our husbands, our families, friends, for us, it's so, so important to recognize when you are in a masculine paradigm all the time, you're triggered constantly and it's just not a great place to be.
I think it's interesting. We've talked about this too, as we've been planning this retreat coming up in February again. And I've had so many people message me. I have probably 20 messages in my inbox of, I'm totally coming, but I need to figure out my babysitter first, or I don't want to sign up yet. I'm not sure if I want to commit. And it's so interesting that here we are, like these super high power, effective, like go-getter people. And yet when it comes to prioritizing ourselves and our personal needs and our personal wellness, etc., suddenly it's like impossible. Like I don't know if I can figure out childcare in 9 months. Or I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe a patient will have an emergency and will need me, so I don't want to sign up yet. And really, we should jump into that tuition. Like, this is something I want to do. I deserve to do something for myself, and I can make these things happen in my professional life. I can prioritize myself and make it happen in my personal life.
Yes, that is the must number one thing ever. So to the masculine, when I was extracting a tooth once, I think I've shared this and I'll share this openly because I think we should share more about this stuff. I had a miscarriage while I was extracting a tooth and continued to extract the tooth. Went through the whole thing, felt like I had been kicked in the gut and went to the hospital when I finished after that.
And in residency, we would have applauded you for that. Like,
Yes. Right?
yeah.
But I home too with the hospital band. My husband had been
I
on the
wouldn't know because
workforce.
I didn't have any other females.
Took a cab back, had the hospital band on my arm, walked in, and we had company at home too. And they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm good. Things are meant to happen. Push it down, push it down, push it
Oh,
down."
wow.
And but back to, yeah, so being in the masculine, but saying yes to yourself. But thank goodness at the same time, I've always been intuitive. And so the feminine is your intuition that's always knocking at your door, and it is your inner GPS. And this is when you're a masculine, your door is closed and you cannot hear. And you are literally getting fed breadcrumbs for where you're supposed to go next. And all of your answers are within you. All of the power is within you. And this is the way to unlock it is the feminine and trusting that. So I am all as well about and I won't swear, but because my mouth, but the yes frequency, like the yeah, saying yes, like don't remember, like, feel into this. Okay, you're going into your logic head of like, oh, I don't know yet. A baby, figure it out. Like when we've had opportunities that have fallen into our lap, like a trip to, Croatia, a super yacht. It was like, oh yes, we have 3 kids, no family, no parents, nothing. And I was like, we will figure it out. I had no idea how I'd make it happen. I'm like, we're going. We are going. So it's like you say yes to yourself. The more yeses you say to yourself, the more abundance and flow comes into your world, because the universe, God, source, whatever it is you believe in, wants nothing more than for you to live the fullest life. But it's only going to be given if you say yes and follow your heartbeat of what it is you desire. Like you love to be home and like your
Yeah.
avocado.
Follow your authentic yes, not just
Yes.
every yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's what I meant. Be authentic and who you are and what you desire and what you love. But in the masculine, so many women aren't able to. You've stayed connected, it sounds like, which is so beautiful.
I try. It's really difficult.
Yeah, but so many just disconnect in the back to the business owner cycle of scarcity and lack. And scarcity and lack on the vibration frequency scale is at the bottom. That is the loop, the cyclic loop of, you being trapped. And we as women have all the power within us to decide differently and say, you know what, we're going to shift that. We're just going to feel differently with a thought. It's a decision. And it's rephrasing certain things. It's saying yes. And to ourselves too. I mean, my husband, he knows, and thank goodness too. I mean, in partnership, it's like, I need this. Like, I'm doing this for me. It's not even a conversation. And so you make things happen, but in the place of wanting to do it for you.
Attention, doctors! Class is in session, but not boring class. This is the Doctor is All In, where C means connection, energy, and fun. End of announcement. Make sure you go to thedoctorisallin.org and have some fun.
Can you fill us in on your story, Jess? For those who don't know you, you were a very successful cosmetic dentist, and then you did a major pivot and you are no longer in the traditional dental space. You sold your practice in Chicago and moved across the country to South Carolina, and you're living your best life, which I think is so inspiring for those of us who, again, are kind of stuck in the trenches and we're worried about paying off our loans and all of that. I love that you're living this life of abundance and the way you wanted. But can you talk about that process? Did you have some of those fears of leaving that behind? How did you transition, and how do you recommend other people? Like most of us maybe aren't going to leave our practice. Hopefully a lot of us are happy continuing to practice, but how can we, maybe even without such a giant shift of complete lifestyle,
Yeah.
how can we live in that way even as we continue to practice?
That was a major, major, major pivot. And the thing is, though, is that I loved what I was doing. I created my practice by design. I was, like I said, working under the 24 hours and seeing the cases I loved. And I loved my team and I loved my patients. We lived in our dream home. And that's another big manifestation story in itself. Like everything was perfect. But I had a dream, like a vivid dream about Charleston, having never been here, I wasn't, like I said, just here, but it was so vivid 2 nights in a row. And so usually you dream and it goes
Wow.
away. The second night I was on King Street again. And I said to my husband, this is so strange, dreams, and they usually go away. He's like, Jess, pick up my iPad. Literally right there, was on the floor, picked it up. And he had been looking at golf courses down here. So I was like, that's 3, we're getting on a plane. I had no idea about anything, but in my body, I knew. I was like, I don't know why I'm being called, but I am being called.
Yeah.
And I just got them too. Because when I say that my entire life trajectory, like we talk about quantum leaps, when we leaned into that feeling and that yes frequency, and I just trusted in my body and I said yes, it completely shifted us. We got off the plane and everything was like a domino effect of yeses, to the point I was on King Street, when the only spot where like we pulled in 177 King, and I'll never forget it. I got out and I felt the magic of this building and I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. And what I thought I was here for was I had a teeth whitening bar in Chicago as well as Sugar Fix Dental off my practice called White Hot. And I was like, we're going to open another White Hot. Of course, Charleston, Chicago. Like, this is amazing. This is why we're here. I took a picture of myself, a selfie in the doorway, and I said, White Hot do, and put it up on Instagram. And 5 minutes later, Dr. Brittany from Chicago, this is right after quarantine, got in touch with me. She said, oh my gosh, are you relocating? Sugar Fix is my dream practice. And I was like, no, no. Long story short is she said, would you just meet me? I took one of your courses over quarantine because during that time I had created Dental Brand Bootcamp and all these things because dentists were available to serve. So I created. And she said, would you meet me for coffee? When she came to my practice and walked through that front door, every single cell in my body, I mean, it was a full body knowing that she was supposed to carry on the legacy there and that I was supposed to move, sell and move, like out of the blue. So I said to my husband, should we just put our house on the market for fun and see what happens, just to see? And the first person that came to the house in the foyer did not even see the house, was like, full ask 30-day close on the 8th, which I have an 8 tattoo, 1-8 in the back. It is just so serendipitous. We call it the quarantine dream and the serendipitous love story because Brittany looks like my sister. She grew up in Fort Lauderdale. This is the place I've gone to every 6 to 8 weeks during my entire career. There are so many things in alignment. She and I, it's just beyond. And so it happened so quickly. It was within 90 days. So usually you would need to stay on as an associate. You'd have to stay on with the practice. But because it was fee for service, everything was clean, 0 AR. And I just said to her, hey, do you think I could be with my family, at Christmas, like kind of thing? And she was like, yeah, like whatever. And 3 months later, I was down here for Christmas Eve, like walked into my house and my kids were cheering and the fire was lit. And it was just the most magical, beautiful experience. And I did not allow myself to feel into any fear, because I have, if I started with that loop of how will I, like,
How will I? Any of it.
and I had been supporting my family and my husband left his job of 25 years as well to come down here. So it was all on me. It was like, okay, like, let's just go and see. And what happened is the 177 King that I thought would become White Hot. This is another magical story because when you open up to magic, it starts flowing in. I ended up meeting the woman that owned the building. Okay. It's like the highest end of King Street. The rent would have been probably $16,000 a month. And she said, you remind me of me when I was your age and my sons are all off and taken care of and I have so many properties and you just, whatever, you can have it, whatever you want to pay. Like, you just tell me, I know you're starting out, which, I mean, I know, right? So I was like, oh my God, do I do it? Do I not? And then the world opened up to me. I started being asked to speak all over, like in dentistry, it just opened. Mentoring, speaking, and I said, this is where I need to go. Again, listening to where I'm being called. And I said, that will come later if it's meant to be. And this is how I live. I just move with my heart and I allow my intuition to lead because it's always, always guiding us. So if you trust, money follows because money is energy when we're showing up for our calling and what was always in us, our purpose, our soul contract here, I do believe.
So if you had one big tip, Jess, what would you say would be the best way to slay that dragon of ego? That thing that's holding us back, those fears, those anxieties. I think we tend to, in this fear, we have that science brain and the logic, and we have to make the pros and cons lists and do all of our research. And in some ways that serves us very well. But if we feel called, if we have that pull to do something more or to make our practice how we want or to redesign our life, how do we push back against that ego and to trust and find that intuitive side?
The number one thing that I say all the time, and you've heard me, so preach, is we were not meant to do this alone. And every woman in her ego, the masculine mind says, I can do this myself. I'll get it done. And then you sit and you have this nice conversation with your ego that tells you can't, and you're not good enough, and you don't have enough money, and no, because. No. So I always say, find your person. We are here, I believe, really, truly, like I said, to extend our hand and mentor. There is someone for everyone. Find someone that is ahead of you a little bit, that has that energy, because they will hold you accountable. you can calibrate to their energy, which will light you up from inside out. That will get you excited about the things, someone that you can talk to about what's on your mind, what's in your heart, what's weighing on you, and just get it off your chest. Like, this is what's so important, is that we speak more. I always say, like, words are spells. We need to speak our truth instead of pushing it down and compounding. Again, just trapping all of that energy from within. And so to shift with our ideas, and we all are creators, and we all have so many ideas that are being given to us all the time. Again, it's just whether you're like, I don't have ideas. It's because you're too stressed on the freaking hamster wheel. Again, the door is closed. But if you can find what happens on vacation for all of us, when you step away on vacation, you have that pina colada, your kids maybe are in childcare, it's just you and your husband, right? All of a
You
sudden you're
finally
like,
have sex with your husband. I don't know.
yes, right? Like, oh, okay. But all of a sudden you have
You can
ideas.
edit that out if you want to.
I love it. This is when you're reading a book and you just have that time, but you have idea. You find yourself dreaming again. And those dreams are the ideas that are in you and for you. And I always say, bring them through you. Just take action steps, take that first step towards those things. Because 2 of my businesses I started while I was practicing dentistry, White Hot and Dental Soiree. And they became, like I said, passive income, I do feel like, for dentistry isn't going to, as far as building wealth, it's not that you go to sell and the broker's fees and then taxes the next year, which, by the way, I was not even thinking about. I just sold because she was the right person. I didn't look at numbers. People said, you should, da, da, da. I said, she is the right person. It doesn't matter. Money will follow. Money will come. She is supposed to take care of my people. She's the only person I feel like she's it. But if people think they're going to retire later on that, I do say to step into whatever else you can feel into right now too, and just play. Tap into your inner child, play and feel into that, because that will start to create freedom in your body, freedom in your life. It'll make dentistry easier, better, and I just think, like I said, we're all here to live fully and passionately. And if you're stressed and not feeling joy and abundance and gratitude on the daily, then it's time probably to just speak your truth to someone. Or we all, in knowing, again, an ego, that we've all been there, we've all felt the things, and that it's okay.
Yeah,
But find
definitely.
your person. I'm all about community. Together we all rise. Collaboration over competition. I think this is how we change our profession, is together, not alone.
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
I've had these conversations in my own brain. One of them was, I'm doing these side gigs, this podcast is part of that, and working on this relaunch of this women's retreat. And I've had people say to me, like, why are you spending all this time and money on this? Like, what's the end game? Like, don't you like your job? And I've kind of had these moments of, my goodness, I probably would make a lot more money just going to work 5 days a week in my current job than spending all of my child.
Here's the thing about life. Life is so big and so full. Your life shouldn't feel like a job. Like, when I practiced, it didn't feel like a job. I was so freaking in love with what I did. And that it's, what do you love? We get this one go around. It's too short. Find what makes your heart sing and do that. And if you have to continue to do this while you're doing that, cool. Awesome. You're going to be so much more fulfilled because you're doing the other thing that you love. And again, the ego mind trips because it will say, you can't. And you say, F it, I'm going anyway. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thought, is like, I could make so much more money if I worked 5 days a week as an oral maxillofacial surgeon. And I'm not making much, if any, or maybe I'm losing money on some of these side gigs at this point. You have to make those early investments, but that's what fills my cup. It's worth it to me. It's worth it to me. I don't think I could do the 5-day a week grind without losing a huge part of myself. And so for me, It's that service. I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to provide a service. I'm trying to create visibility and all of those things. To me, it's worth it. But it's really easy to let that little nagging voice in your brain to tell you it's not, or you can't, or you shouldn't, or this is dumb. Why would you? And so you are such a good reminder of leaning into that authenticity, that inner self, that guiding light, that intuition.
And you just said, I'm trying. And that's a reframe, right? It's like, I'm making a freaking big impact in this world. I am, because you are, right? And that's just that questioning loop of that ego and all the education and the past and whatnot. Always questioning, oh, but you can be more, you can do more. And just remembering that our outside world is always reflecting our inner world. And again, back to that door being open. When the door is open because you're doing what you love, money is energy. It meets you where you are. If you were in scarcity and lacked and pinched off from money, you will keep hitting that 7-figure. You'll be like, why aren't I? You can't want for anything. And so, like I said, just take a peek at, like I said, what you'll find when you look outside you, that is what's going on within you. So when you shift inside you, everything outside will change. And that's where money will flow in. So lean into the feminine. You're feeling amazing. You're loving life. You're in love with all of it. Money is like, we love you. All of a sudden, it just comes out of opportunities open up. Things drop in. This is when life gets to be so magical. And I, in dentistry too, have had so many people say, oh, but you're just, a unicorn. Just like you said, with people saying things. And it's like, stop that for a second and listen to yourself, because that's a projection of you. That is your subconscious programming that's so old, by the way, that was given to you by someone else. Take a look inside, right? And write new codes. And this is something you can do if you don't know how to with somebody else, that can be a mirror to reflect your power back to you. And again, this is the only way we make shifts, because we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. Can I ask you one question? With what you're doing right now, what's been your favorite success story or transformation that you've seen with any of the people that you've been working with? I'd like to hear about it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, especially, okay, so let's talk about money. Like money. And I've got some like screenshots. I was actually looking at them this morning, because when you create landing pages and such, the ego logical mind, they need to see proof. So you need to have all things. Is that every woman that has come into my world, actually, that has chosen mentorship for one reason or another, has ended up tapping into that feminine side and ended up creating something, whether that be niching, or teaching someone how to do like Botox. Brittany, my whitening bar, became a Botox bar. Like, there's so many ideas and things that, like I said, that you can tap into. But the feminine, they've all leaned into the feminine. So I had one recently, I actually just read this morning, where she sent me a message. She said, I can't, oh my gosh, just looked at my numbers. I have increased by $250,000 by doing less this year and being so much happier. Like, there is just nothing better that lights me up more for people to see the possibilities. And that's what I believe, I know that I bring, because again, the energy piece and that calibration, you just feel different. When you feel different, you do different. And like, it just opens up so much more. And so there's nothing more in my heart space. And that's why I continue to plug away here, because I'm in a lot of spaces with female entrepreneurs that get I always say this, and I say this not to impress people, but to impress upon them that women in my world they're doing $1 million days, $1 million months, cash. Yes. Okay. Like, so this is what I would love to show you of
I want to be part of your world.
but this
I'm
is
like, I sold 20 crates of avocados, and that's not the kind of money that we make around here.
but you hey, and it's not about the money, like, at all either, but I just want people to see that it's like the women, and the reason why I pay and I plug in and I invest in myself, investment, right? This is the thing, it's an investment, is that I want to calibrate my body to that energy and around what's possible. And I have to plug into what is beyond even me, right? This is how we move things, but it's all possible. And this is what I know when you choose you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jess, give the rundown if you have been listening and you are sold on this idea of mentorship, choosing Jess or someone like Jess, how do we work with you? What are you offering right now? I know you're always creating. What can we do to be part of your world?
So my Instagram's at Dr. Jessica Emery is probably the main one. I have probably 5, as you had mentioned, Dental Girl Gang, Dental Spray, and Happy CEO Coach. I say you just find your person, period. There are a lot of amazing dental coaches and mentors out there. Amazingly beautiful human beings with gifts that have chosen to extend their hand to others. So just find your person and plug in. For me, my focus is right now, really in my heart, I really want to help startup dentists and be their cheerleader and love on them like crazy and be that mom, if you will, because I want them to have a community just like the dental rebel, like do dentistry differently, like show up and have that role model. And then of course you the other. So the flip side, I do help dentists move into fee for service and niche in their practices. But I also help them move into the online space, which I truly love. When I first moved into the online space, I had the desire and I had a picture of me going to a Funnel Hackers Live conference. I saw people up online making 7 figures for a jump rope funnel. And I was like, oh, wait, what? Okay, well, if they could do that, I can do that too. Set the goal and intention, and I did it. So I got I didn't even know I did it. I got an email that said, you just made 7 figures in the online space. So I just want to show you what's possible for you all to know. Just pick whatever it is you desire, but I do feel like I can kind of help people wherever they're at. But with Launch Lab, this is my baby. I want, especially for wealth, and for people to find their passions and start trying those on. Launch Lab, that's what we're doing. It's helping take an idea out of your mind and launching it and making a cash machine that works while you're sleeping. Because once you experience that and the time with your kids, I spent more time with my children than I ever have. And you don't get this back. It's just such a gift. I still, 4 years later, I literally say, like, pinch me in my dreaming, like when I wake up, because I'm like, this life, wow, right? It's like, I want to do this today, or I want to do that today. And I'm so moving in flow. And yet I've got that masculine kind of time locked in, like, okay, I'm going to work on this, or my client calls, but it's flexible. And again, it's by design, but it's just, different than my practice. So anyway, I can be in service. I'm here for service and love and impact. I want nothing more than for our career, like I said, our we're just dentistry, our profession to shift into a more positive place to be, because what dentists forget is that we're all healers. Ultimately, I don't think dentists have ever looked at themselves, but they're healers. And if they tapped into that, and they're artists. So if they started looking at themselves a little bit differently, I think we could start to really tap in to that inner wisdom, energy, and magic that would make things look and feel a little different.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Well, thank you so much for joining
Yeah.
us. I think this was such an interesting conversation, and probably can have you on again to continue.
Yes, we still have so many more things to talk about.
I feel like we just skimmed the surface. So we will drop in the show notes some of the ways to reach you, because I suspect some people will be excited to connect with you more.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you for giving us so much energy on this Sunday morning.
Oh. Thank you. I know, Dr. Sarah, I can't wait to talk to you more. And Dr. Erin, I love you so much too. It's been such a gift. This is the other thing with social media is we haven't met in person yet, but we've met here now, and I love this. And if more people tap in, again, it's like community and reaching out, and the relationships I've built are second to none through Instagram and social. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Amen.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Resting Stitch Face. If today's conversation spoke to you, imagine what it would feel like to connect in person. That's exactly why we created The Doctor Is All In, a retreat just for women in oral surgery. Learn more and grab your spot at thedoctorisallin.org. We'll see you next time.